Well, good afternoon, everyone. There you go. Got a couple people who cadre and others are hiding out in the back, but they told me we're ready to go, so welcome. I am, for those I didn't get a chance to meet or don't know, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Scott Jeffress. I've got the privilege of being the Professor of Military Science here at ETSU with the Army ROTC program. And again, it's my pleasure to welcome you on what I know is going to be a real special event for everybody as we honor some great Americans and talk about some pretty neat things going on right here over the last 60 years. Beautiful fall day outside. If we could figure out how to have done this outside and keep the same environment we would have, but we'll go enjoy that as soon as this is done. Again, special day for us in the Buc Battalion, and it's just another step in recognizing the significance of the last almost 60 years. The people, whether they're alums or former instructors, cadre members here who've shaped this program, kind of helped make it into what it is today. Now Monday, ETSU is going to close out its year-long centennial celebration. We're going to have a campus-wide convocation. They are going to bury the time capsule for the 100th anniversary, so if you're around, that's something you'll want to see. But for nearly 60 of those years, ETSU Army ROTC has been here on campus. And during those 6 decades, our alumni, former cadre members, and many others have left their mark on the Buc Battalion and contributed in some way to what we've been and to who we are. Folks who were here in the 60s, and I know there are folks in the crowd who were, you remember, no doubt, huge cadet formations, drilling, marching around campus when ROTC was mandatory for the first 2 years. Folks from the little later, 80s and 90s, you remember the real powerful ROTC teams that would go off to Ranger Challenge competitions, to Army 10-miler competitions in DC and actually bring home trophies, top regional and national winners. I will tell you that today, our cadets, who are all sitting over here, and some folks who are this close to being cadets, sitting a little further behind them there, but those folks are carrying on that tradition. And they represent this program and this school with great distinction in a lot of ways. And you'll hear more about that later. And meanwhile, our current cadre, all of whom are hiding in the back over there, just like their predecessors, they continue to go well above and beyond what's expected of the average cadre member. And I trust our cadets would vouch for that. I will tell you, they model professionalism, they care for these folks, they instruct these folks, and they absolutely are developing future Army leaders that we all can be proud of. As we talk about all that past, though, up until 2 years ago, we didn't have a formal mechanism to recognize that. And so in 2009, over in Brooks Memorial Hall, where we're sort of headquartered, we had a ribbon cutting ceremony, and Dr. Stanton, the president here, helped us cut the ribbon on what truly is a Hall of Fame. And 3 individuals, Sergeant First Class Carson Gentry, Lieutenant General Retired Ron Height, and Colonel Retired Frank Rutherford made up our first class. Last year, we inducted 3 more men, and just like the class before, their lives really represent everything that I've just talked about. Retired Navy Captain Bill Coleman, who was also a longtime ETSU employee in the HR world, Captain Retired and Dr. Bill Linebarger, and Lieutenant General Retired Hugh Smith. Today, we're going to add 5 new and equally deserving members to that group. But before we get to that, I've got to do 2 things. First off, this often gets forgotten on days like today, some thank yous. We're excited that some of the inductees that I just listed today could return. So if I could get them, if you're a Hall of Fame member, and I know Bill's here, I know Carson's here, Ginger, this includes you on behalf of Colonel Rutherford, if I get you to stand for a minute. Former, current Hall of Fame members. Now, Bill, is that your dad with you today? Interesting. As I look at the notes I put together for myself, they say, I mentioned Bill Linebarger, and he's here in town. When he was inducted last year, the audience included, as it does today, his father, a World War II veteran. And I would tell you that our entire nation, not just us here, but the entire nation owes a debt of gratitude to him and others like him, the greatest generation, as they've been dubbed, as well as to veterans who've served in many other places all over the world since that time. So to all the veterans in the room, and we've got a World War 2 veterans, someone who served during that time on the stage here with us, among maybe others in the room. But if I could get every veteran in the room to stand up, be recognized. Yeah, for the cadre, that's not something to be shy about. That means a lot. Thank you. Thanks for that recognition for those folks. Now, of course, events like this don't just happen. Hopefully they look about that way, but they don't just happen. They take a lot of time and planning, a lot of energy, sometimes from people who wonder, what the heck are we doing putting all this together, if I don't explain why we're doing it well. And I will tell you, we didn't have any of that this year, because people see and they sense the energy and everything going on. But to our cadre, and to our cadets, all of whom worked real hard. You probably saw a lot of that out in the front. You're going to see that over the course of the rest of the evening here. But if you'll indulge me for a minute, I just want to say thank you to them. And finally, 2 other folks here. We always get tremendous support from the ETSU Photo Lab. Guys like Jim Sledge, who's hiding out there in the middle taking pictures. They are at everything we do, and they help us capture that. This year, for the first time, we're also grateful. Started a little partnership with the folks from the Office of E-Learning here on campus, and to the folks hiding over here in the corner. For the first time, we're able to stream this live on the web. And so we've got some folks, potentially even officers, former cadets here in Afghanistan, if they're off duty right now. We've got folks all over the country potentially that are watching this as we speak. So to them, hope you're enjoying it. And to everybody else, great opportunity to sort of expand our reach here a little bit and let people experience this even if they couldn't be here. So again, to all those folks, thank you. And now it's my privilege to introduce our guest speaker today, Dr. Wilsie Bishop, ETSU's Chief Operating Officer and Vice President for Health Affairs. She's a close friend of the Buc Battalion, I will tell you. She's also the mother of a former ROTC cadet, and he's currently an Army officer. And not surprisingly, she's a pretty good supporter of the Army and students and veterans. Over the past years, as in my almost 4 years of being acquainted with her, she has attended every major event we've ever held. And I will tell you, she often does that by putting her personal life on hold so she can be here. And so, ma'am, I personally appreciate that. I know the crowd does. And extremely pleased to have her join us here today. So if you will, please help me welcome Dr. Wilsie Bishop. Thank you, ma'am.
Well, thank you, Colonel Jeffress. I appreciate that kind of introduction, and really want to say welcome to everyone here on behalf of President Stanton and all of the faculty and staff at East Tennessee State University. We are extremely proud of our Reserve Officer Training Program, and we are extremely proud of the people who have been associated with it over the years. And this Hall of Fame recognition is a wonderful way not only of calling attention to the people who have served the university and our country so well, but also to the growth of our program, the significance it has on campus, and the future that it holds with these young men and women who are seated here on my right. Colonel Jeffress has already told you that the university has been in a wonderful year of reflection, of celebration, and of pride. We've been looking at what we've accomplished as a university over the past 100 years. And we know that the educational programs here, the student development programs, and the activities that East Tennessee State has brought to the region has made a difference not only to Johnson City, but the whole Northeast Tennessee region. It's been a very special year in our life, and we're really excited about the centennial finale that will occur on Monday at 10 o'clock in the Dome. And I do encourage you, it's open to the public, and if you are here and available, I think you'll find it a wonderful, spirit-lifting experience. I think, too, as we think about those parts of the university that have been important, we should look also at some of the current accomplishments. And one of the things I asked Colonel Jeffress if I could have to talk today was to talk about some of the accomplishments that our current cadets have, because you may be future Hall of Famers. And I want the audience to know some of the outstanding things that you have been doing. Now, something that's very important to ROTC cadets all across the country is the Order of Merit list. And as they go through their preparation to become officers, they look at certain activities such as physical fitness scores, leadership evaluations, and other criteria to determine where they rank in the Order of Merit. This is important to them in getting their future branch assignments, and perhaps even some of their future assignments once they go through their initial branch training. It's important to know that ETSU was one of only 11 programs in the nation, and there are about 300 ROTC programs in the nation, but one of only 11 that had 2 or more cadets in the top 100 list on the merit, on the list of merit, the merit, let me get it right, the merit list, Order of Merit list. So there were 5,650 cadets nationwide, and we had more than 2 on the top 100. That's less than 2%. So we have some very outstanding cadets to be recognized there. As our academic year has begun, we have had a number of national and brigade level recognitions. Cadet Miranda Doss, are you there? Are you here? Would you stand up? Cadet Doss is our Cadet Battalion Commander. She is going to receive the AUSA National Scholarship at their annual convention this next week. She's being flown to Washington for the convention that's going to be held there, all expenses paid, and will receive the scholarship there. My son's going to be there. You look for him. Look for Major Bishop when you get there. Congratulations. Now, Cadet Chad Bishop, no relation, but I'll claim you, Chad. Would you stand up? There you are. Cadet Chad Bishop is a junior. He's our cadet company commander. He had the opportunity to represent our brigade at West Point recently at the National Conference on Ethics in America. There were only 5 cadets selected from across the country, and you were one of them. Congratulations, Chad. Now, not only are these outstanding military students, they are outstanding academic students. Last spring, the overall Cadet Battalion GPA was 3.55. Pretty impressive, isn't it? Okay, another little bragging point is the freshmen had a 3.78 GPA. And they just... And you know how hard it is to have that transition to college. That's pretty impressive. The junior class was 3.76, and nearly 40% of the cadets were on the dean's list. So that's an outstanding record. Congratulations. This past summer, our ETSU cadets also had an opportunity to explore the world, thanks to Uncle Sam. 3 of them graduated from airborne school. 1 graduated from air assault school. None of these are very small feats at all, very significant. 1 cadet spent 30 days in Alaska on an Army nurse scholarship. Another spent a month in Germany as part of the medical service intern program. We had a rising junior who went to West Point for 30 days this summer for a program. And 4 cadets were part of the Cadet Command's Cultural Understanding and Language program. 1 traveled to Moscow, 1 spent the summer in Slovakia, 2 experienced life in Tanzania. And for all of them, the Army paid for this experience and gave them a small stipend. So what a wonderful opportunity as part of their growth as an individual and as a future Army officer to have these experiences. And not all cadets across the country get the opportunity to participate in these. You have to be selected for these and have to apply, and so it's pretty significant. We're doing things on campus to try to make the environment in Brooks Hall a lot more appealing, a lot more comfortable. I hope you've enjoyed the HVAC that you all are experiencing there now. We have been working to try to get the temperatures better. There's a wonderful new mural that's on the wall in Brooks Hall that was part of the centennial celebration that reflects some of the history of our ROTC unit. You'll be invited to go to Brooks Hall after this event today, and I hope you'll go and take advantage of that. And you'll also see when you're over there the wall of commissionees. We want to recognize every individual who has been commissioned through our ROTC program at East Tennessee State University. So you might want to go and look for names of people you know on the wall there. So you can tell we have an active and a proud Reserve Officers Training Corps here on campus, and it's led by a distinguished cadre and staff. And we appreciate what the ROTC battalion does for East Tennessee State University, not only in the education and training of our future military leaders who serve with pride and distinction, but also for what they contribute to the life of the university. They volunteer, they're active at athletic games and events, they're involved in volunteer activities on campus and in the community. They're visible, they're proud, and they serve the university very, very well in that relationship. So as we celebrate 100 years of pride and partnership at East Tennessee State University, our partnership with the Reserve Officers Training Unit has been phenomenal. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for the people you have produced. Thank you, cadets, for the people you'll become and the service you'll give to our country. Congratulations today to our inductees. We're very proud of you. We appreciate your families who could be here. And we know Captain Reed can't be here, but we're so glad so many members of the Reed families here as we celebrate his ultimate sacrifice for our country. But this is a great event. I hope you enjoy it and spend lots of time talking to these distinguished gentlemen on stage to find out about their careers and what they've done to serve our country. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, Dr. Bishop talked about our past here. Since 1952, when ROTC came into being on this campus, we've commissioned over 1,400 individuals for the Army. And many graduates have also served outside the Army in very distinguished ways. We've had folks achieve the highest ranks within the Army. We've had them achieve high ranks outside the Army and other services. We've got a Marine Corps retired 3-star general on stage with us today, for example. ETSU graduates have also given their lives in wartime, serving our nation. And there are others in this group, some graduates, some folks who came to us and taught here or have other connections to the department, to the battalion, who simply, by their service, by their accomplishments, by their very being, just who they are, made a significant impact on the Buc Battalion and its cadets. And I'd offer that those words describe in some form or fashion each member of the class of 2011. And so with that, let me introduce our inductees. Now, fittingly, our first new Hall of Fame member takes us back to the very beginnings of our Army ROTC on this campus. Having already served in the Navy during World War II, Ray Abner came to ETSU in the early 1950s on a football scholarship. And here he distinguished himself in a number of areas. And he became the Buc Battalion's first ever Cadet Battalion Commander. He was a distinguished military graduate, and he graduated from here with a degree in business administration. And since that time, and listen to this, 18, 19, 20-year-olds in the audience here, since the time when he graduated, over half a century ago, that's how long it's been since Mr. Abner graduated, he's had a long and very, very successful career with IBM. He's consulted both for Gemini Corporation and independently. And as he'll tell you in just a minute, I think, he's put his ROTC training, his experience here, the leadership development he got, to use every step of the way. And so, ladies and gentlemen, let me give you our first inductee, Mr. Ray Abner. Stay right there. Stay right there. All right, now the way we're going to do this, and I didn't coach these guys well enough. First, what we're doing here, let's come to the middle, and ma'am, if I can get you to join us on the other side. You guys hear me in the back? Pearl, we good? All right. What we've got here, literally in a Hall of Fame, this is a replica of the plaque that'll be up on the wall there. And just so you see, it addresses ETSU Army ROTC Hall of Fame inductee class of 2011. We'll let each of them select their picture, and this looks familiar from a long time ago at commissioning, doesn't it, sir? And a short biography. But this We've got one that's already on the wall in Brooks. You'll see that later if you have a chance to go over there. But sir, this is yours to take, do with, replica, because I know you'll want that, and somebody out in the audience probably wants to find a special place for that. So we'll take some pictures, and then, all right, look at Jim first there with the hand in the middle. You got to get the university stake. We good? Any others? All right, we'll have time afterward for more. But sir, that's yours. And now, the stage is yours. Here, I got it.
Sir, it's all yours. Okay. Thank you, Colonel Jeffers and Dr. Bishop. I came to East Tennessee State, as the Colonel said, in April, the beginning of the spring quarter of 1952. I came with Star Wood, who had been the head football coach at Tennessee Tech. He resigned there and became head football coach here, and he brought me with him. And since that time, there have been three significant things that happened to me as a result of my coming here. Number one, I met a beautiful young lady named Millie Eads. We were married in 1955, and we've now been married for 56 years. We have a wonderful family, and they're here today, and I'm proud of all of them. Number two, I became a student worker. I worked for a man named Solon Gentry, who was the assistant registrar. And when I went to see him for a job, he said, "Well, I'm just now installing some IBM machines. Why don't you just come on over here and help me run them?" And I thought, IBM? I never heard of that. But I said, okay, I'll do it anyway. So we installed the machines in the fall of 1952, and I continued to run them until I earned a master's degree in 1956. The third thing is the ROTC. I learned that it paid $18 a month. And I needed the money. So I joined in the fall of 1952. And the ROTC has awarded me with a number of honors that I'm very proud of, but since I did not go into military service, the thing I wanted to relate to you today is what the ROTC training has done for me in my professional career. First of all, as the Colonel said, the leadership qualities and practices that a leader knows what he must be, what he must know, and what he must do. But then there's another fact that I learned, and that is that there are two ingredients that mark the success of any successful organization. And they have to be there to become successful and be there to remain successful. The first of those is that they have a statement of mission. It defines the reason for that organization's existence. The second is a code of values that defines how the people in our organization must operate, their decisions, the work they do, and the values that and the actions that they take. Those principles have been with me throughout all of my work, and they form the basis for a systems design technology that I created for IBM while I was working for IBM. I went to work for IBM in April of 1956, and I worked there for 35 years. During the first 20 years of my life, I was in Nashville, Tennessee, working with the Tennessee state government team, and we installed 15 different computer systems and applications in all the major departments of Tennessee state government. While I was working there, I met and worked with a young man named Roy Nix. He had just started working for Tennessee when I did, and over the years we worked together and became very good friends. And he and other people gave me a tremendous amount of knowledge in how state governments operate. And as a result of that, I was later promoted to consultant and began traveling all over the country, consulting with state government executives and within IBM about what state governments really needed from computers. And later on, I was assigned to a team to develop a methodology to design the totality of a total business operation. Up until that point in time, there have been a lot of consultants who had a lot of different methods called total quality management, management by objectives, corporate re-engineering, and so on and so forth, but none of them really attacked the whole organization. So we were assigned the task of creating a total corporation model. So the team and I looked at each other and said, what in the world do we do? How do we do that? Well, we all agreed that mission forms the context within whichever everything in the company is done. So we started by creating a method that by helping the executive committee define their mission, and then ask the question, okay, what work do you do to achieve that mission? And in answering that, then we developed a top-down model of all of the work of the organization. While I was doing this, Mr. Roy Nix became Dr. Roy Nix, and he was named president at East Tennessee State University. In early 1997, I had just finished a project with Anheuser-Busch in St. Louis, and I came home and I told Millie, well, that's it, I'm gonna quit. But about that time, we received our issue of ETSU Today, the spring quarter issue, and in it, Dr. Nix had the leading article that described what he was doing with TQM, Total Quality Management, that he was doing with the help of Tennessee Eastman. And so I thought, well, gee whiz, that's what I've been doing all these years, so I'll just help him. So I called him, told him what I'd been doing and that I thought I could help him, and he said, as he normally does, well, Abner, come on up here and show me what you got. And I did that, met with Dr. Nix and Wayne Andrews. I showed them what I had, and they decided they'd try it. And it just so happened that at that time, Dr. Stout, the Vice President for Student Affairs, was retiring, and Dr. Andrews became Vice President of Student Affairs, and he and Dr. Bader created a team, and we developed what we called a work architecture for student affairs. And I understand that they're still using that model in all of their annual planning process. And so it came to pass that the lessons I learned here in ROTC more than 60 years ago have brought me full circle right back where it all started. So I trust Colonel Jeffries that these cadets today will be trained and have the training as important as it has been to me in my career. Thank you very much.
Now, our next inductee, saw him yesterday, and he asked me why on earth he was being included in this group. And I'll tell you, Glenn, that's a good question. So let me give you, and let me give the audience a good answer on that. Seriously, Master Sergeant retired Glenn Grinya He served our nation for 22 years as an infantryman, starting as a young soldier, deploying to Panama for Operation Just Cause. Toward the tail end of his career, he deployed as a first sergeant with 1st Cavalry Division to Iraq in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. And I'll tell you, in between, he held many, many leadership positions. He earned many honors, just a few of which are in your program there. He closed his career, those 22 years, here at ETSU. And in the 3 years that he was a senior military instructor, he used his incredible gift of working with young people. And those who know him know that that is a true statement. He has just got a gift for working with young people to make an absolutely amazing impact on countless cadets, and not just cadets, but students. I'll tell you, there's some athletes in the room today. They're really only here because he's here. That's just the kind of guy he is. Today, he's a student himself. And as I understand it, he's earning rave reviews from professors and others at Texas Tech. He's already the father of 2 great kids who I personally know a little bit, but he and Shannon, his wife, will add another daughter to their family sometime probably in the next couple of weeks. So we're just glad to have him here with us today, and we're thankful to her, if she's watching, for allowing him to make this trip. But it is great to have him back on campus. Ladies and gentlemen, Master Sergeant Retired Glenn Grinya. All right, look at Jim. Good? Anybody else? All right.
One of the cadets asked me if I was going to get through this without crying, because he said, if you cry, we're all going to cry, but I'm just, I think the reason I do is because I loved what I did. I've been blessed my whole life. Sorry, but hey, I really did. I wanted Mr. Abner and them to all keep talking, because I didn't want to come up here, because I really don't like being in front. I've always been a service-minded individual. I'm supposed to serve people, and even though I was the Master Sergeant, Senior Military Instructor, the first thing I always wanted to do every day was serve my cadets and get up, motivate them, and come and do the right thing. I will get it together, I swear. I really don't know when Colonel Jeffers called me, when Scott called me. It's the first time publicly I've ever said his name like that. When he called me, I really thought he was joking, and he said, no, they elected you. And I said, whatever, what do you want to talk about? We talked about the weather, and we talked about school, and I really couldn't believe it, because the fact is that I've always tried to concern myself with other people, and what it's always done is it's always helped me get to the top. Whenever they're struggling with something, if I help them, it helps me in a struggle with my life. When somebody says, you know, hey, do you need a hand? About an hour ago, I mean, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but an hour ago I was unloading a truck for the food mission over here, which a buddy of mine runs, and he's feeding, 500 people. And I didn't want to be anywhere else but there, helping him, because it's kind of what I love and what I enjoy. I want to say, first of all, my wife and my children are watching in Lubbock, Texas, and I so wanted them to be here, and I'm just glad that they're there watching, and I love them to death, and Devin and Caitlin and all y'all, I love you. The reason I'm up here should be with an asterisk by the side. If you know anything about professional athletes, they get to the Hall of Fame and they have an asterisk by them. It's because of supplements or additional things that they've done to help them achieve that as fame. I am a huge asterisk, because the reason I'm here is for people like Tony Walker, which is probably the best EI that any college has. Angela Hare, which when I first met her, I accidentally called her a secretary, and she corrected me quickly, executive aide. And I learned very familiar that she is not just a secretary. She was the glue that held us all together. Debbie Donaldson, which is, I think Debbie's on, what, 27 years now? 27 years. How many of you can say that you know that about the university? All of these people trained me. Tom, wonderful supply guy, the best in the nation. I'll put my money against it. Major Campbell, awesome recruiting officer. We're not supposed to call him Ruse because it sounds funny, I guess. But this organization was the most amazing thing to be part of. And like everything in my life, I think it was just a gift from God above to be able to wind up here and serve my last 3 years here. It wasn't supposed to be that way. I was just going to punch my ticket, move on out, in which ROTC is not usually a punch your ticket area for a non-commissioned officer, but I thought I could use it to my advantage. When I got here, I was the rough and tumble master sergeant that you can think that I can be. But they quickly, the cadets, sanded every edge off of me and taught me one thing: don't give up. These kids today, I know that there's a lot of bad things that go on about how they are. I'm telling you what, you want to see America at action? Come watch a ROTC unit. Come watch a junior ROTC unit. Everything that you ever grew up with on patriotism, honor, everything is displayed in those kids every day. They basically taught me, you know what? Education is a big thing. You need to go back and finish your education. So currently Dr. Garceau, I apologize, I didn't. Thank you so much for this great honor to come back here. I have a 3.6 GPA. and I'm a horrible student compared to what all the other students are, because I show up on time. If I'm late for class, I usually either text or call my professor and tell them, hey, I'm so sorry, ma'am or sir, I will never miss a class. I've only missed 4 classes the entire time that I've been there. I take notes, answer questions. I'm first in every project. I'm a horrible student to my counterparts, but to my professors, they absolutely love me. And they ask me, so where did you learn all this? East Tennessee State University. It's a little school in northeast corner of Tennessee. And I tell them that it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. It showed me of what I could accomplish even outside of the military. I did a lot of great things in the military, but one of the things I didn't want it to do is I didn't want it to be the only definition in my life. And they basically told me, then go bigger. And I listened. And so now I'm in school and I'm loving it. I am them. I'm a student full-time. I absolutely love everything. I have been so blessed and so gifted in my life, well beyond what I'm actually capable of. And I can just honestly say that this is not my accomplishment. This is truly the Buc Battalion's accomplishment. This is a great school, a great organization. I love each and every one of you so much. You're amazing. I never change my phone number, and they all know that, because I never ever want there to be a day that one of them needs me. They can't get a hold of me. So, and I still take phone calls. So, if you ever need anything, give me a call. Thank you so much.
It's getting tougher and tougher to follow these. A member of ETSU's class of 1966, retired Lieutenant General, United States Marine Corps, Fred McCorkle, he completed officer candidate school the following year, and he started a distinguished career that spanned 35 years serving our nation as a Marine Corps officer. He's a naval aviator, flew over 1,500 combat missions in Vietnam, later commanded Marines at all levels, thousands of Marines under his command in multiple occasions. And he concluded his career as the Deputy Commandant for Aviation, during which time he was awarded his 3rd star. Not surprisingly, his awards and his decorations and his accomplishments are far too many to list, although some of that's in your program for you to look at. Since his retirement in 2001 from the Marine Corps, Lieutenant General McCorkle has served on the board of directors for a number of corporations, several charity foundations as well. He is highly respected among all who know him, and he continues to make a significant difference every day for those around him and to model outstanding leadership. So would you please join me in recognizing our 3rd inductee, retired Lieutenant General Fred McCorkle.
Well, I would say, first of all, I'm very different from most general officers or admirals that you will ever meet. I'm very honored to be here today, particularly to be inducted into this hall and to have individuals here. We got Admiral John McKinley down front. If any of you guys want to meet an admiral, and Admiral Frank Anderson up here in the back, and then the guy who is my real hero, Mr. Dan Mahoney, who went through as a ROT student down here the same time I did, but he became a success. And he really did well when he was here in the university. I'm a very different type of person, and I talk to a lot of young folks, and I say that no matter how poor you are, I was poor because my family never owned a TV or a car. Since then, I've met a couple of people that were raised in adobe huts, had no air conditioning and no running water, and I said, oh, they were really poor. So if any of you guys ever feel sorry for yourself, get the lead out, because you shouldn't. I came to East Tennessee State University. I didn't even know where the place was because of 2 friends of mine. One of them quit after about 3 months. One of them quit after about 6 months. And as an officer and a gentleman, I had no place to go, so I graduated and became a Marine. I had no idea what the Marine Corps was either, and I did know what the Army was, the Navy, and the Air Force. And the Master Sergeant over here, I always looked at as that was the top person I wanted to be, the biggest guy, strongest guy around, and I would always say if I was his size and his build, they would have kept me in a cage. But I'm also a very emotional person, but if I choke up, my call sign is assassin, so I have to kill everybody that sees me cry. So do your best to keep me happy. I joined the Marine Corps because they told me they could get me in and out quicker than anybody else, than the Army, the Navy, or the Air Force. 35 years later, I found out they lied to me, which they truly did. I met a young aeronautical engineer, drug him up and down every hill, and the hills were as steep as they were here in Tennessee, and I thought aeronautical engineers drove trains during that time. And so when I went down to Pensacola to fly airplanes, I'd never been to an airport. And all these stories are true. And I got to fly the U-2 spy plane, all the Air Force jets, all the Navy jets. And I did an ego thing because I truly am still a country bumpkin, but flew Cobras and Blackhawks, which the Army has and the Marine Corps has very few of them, and all the other things, and was very, very fortunate in doing that. All of that started because of ROTC here at East Tennessee State University in this uniform. Now, when we were here, it was mandatory for 2 years, and you had to go through 2 years, and I didn't go through the 3rd year and 4th year like Mr. Dan Mahoney and some others who became even more successful. But Once I met the Marine Corps, then they made me learn all the things that I missed out in my junior and senior year. So you guys are very lucky to have that up front. Once I retired, I still stay very engaged with the youth, do a lot of speeches to schools, universities, and other things like that, and do serve on a lot of boards. For any of you that see that I'm a director on the board of Rolls-Royce, they do not give you a car. They stopped making them 20 years ago. So, but the executive assistant of Rolls-Royce is named Mercedes, and she can get you a Mercedes car if you would like. But for Dr. Jeffers and Dr. Bishop, or Colonel Jeffers and Dr. Bishop, I do have to tell one story about being an East Tennessee State graduate. And the one thing that they teach you here is common sense. And I say common sense is not so common. And one board that I serve on, and many out there in the audience have heard this story, when I joined the board and they said, we would like to have you on the board, 3 of the board directors had their PhDs from MIT, 3 had their PhDs from Harvard, and 2 had their PhDs from Princeton. And I was there from East Tennessee State University. And I'm thinking, Jesus, what am I going to say to these guys, you know? And as I've said, common sense is not so common. And since then, I've gone up and I've interviewed for a board position the Dean of Engineering from Harvard and the Dean from Engineering from MIT, both multiple PhDs, and we hired one of them. And I was the guy that did those interviews. And I read their bios and they read mine, and they're thinking, how can this be? Some dirtbag from Tennessee comes up here and interviews me, you know, and I'm from Boston and all the other stuff. So that, and I never had a mentor. My family wasn't rich, so you guys should surpass me by a long shot down the road, because you've got your whole life in front of you. And I can tell you all the secrets at $3,000 an hour, you know, if any of you are rich out there. But Colonel Jeffers, I thank you, and Dr. Bishop, for you and the university, and to say I'm just a very lucky person to be here. Thanks.
All right, now the next gentleman on stage, he knows a thing or two about what I'm doing, and probably would do it a lot better. Because a few years back, he was the professor of military science at East Tennessee State University. Lieutenant Colonel retired Rich Measner is a graduate of West Point, the U.S. Military Academy. We don't hold that against him. It's okay. He served as a field artilleryman, field artillery officer all around the world over a 22-year career. In his final assignment, he was here with the ROTC program, where he solidified his reputation as an outstanding officer and a mentor for young people. He retired in 1992 and worked in the aerospace industry for a number of years. He also decided during that second job to make his home in East Tennessee, and we are glad he did. He is a great friend of the Buc Battalion. He has spoken at our events. He attends whenever he can. He'll talk to cadets, share his knowledge with them. He's also a great friend of the university, great supporter. If there's a basketball game happening, he's probably there, and other things, along with Melinda. But again, we are glad he's here. Thank you for joining us today, sir, ladies and gentlemen. Lieutenant Colonel Rich Measner. You're good, sir. Oh, hang on. We gotta do that again. I'm sorry, Melinda. One more. No, you're good. Gotta get you a picture. Good. Okay. The floor is yours.
Well, I'm truly honored to be inducted into this distinguished program's Hall of Fame. You know, as I think back on the gratifying 4 years that I spent as the professor of military science here, there's just a flood of memories that comes back. I guess starting with when my assignments officer told me that I was going to be taking command of an ROTC battalion. And I thought to myself, perfect. Then he told me, he said, you're slotted to take over either Vanderbilt or Penn State. Well, I'd already seen this list of programs that he had available, and ETSU was my top choice. I said, wait a minute, you're telling me you got Vandy and Penn State to trade, and you can't get me ETSU? And he did. And I immediately knew that I'd made the right choice. I've served throughout the U.S. and in Germany and in Turkey, and really, I found my home when I came here to ETSU. I guess it was my second year here. The administration decided that they wanted to establish a program to recognize various departments. And they were looking for a safe, strong department to start this out with, so they picked ROTC. And Bob Plummer, who was representing the administration, and myself started to put this together, and over the course of the next few months, we were able to gather all 7 of the flag rank general officers that were graduates and get them to come back for this event. And let me tell you, that was no small achievement. But it was really quite a sight when at the basketball game at the halftime, the cadets unfurled a flag that covered the entire basketball court as we played the national anthem. The crowd loved it. And I could share innumerable other examples of why I felt that we had literally the best ROTC program in the country. But I'll spare you. I do want to say, though, that the true highlight of my tenure as a professor of military science was the 64 second lieutenants that we commissioned while I was here. I still see and hear from several of them, and they remain outstanding examples of what is so right about the ROTC program here at East Tennessee State. And I'm very gratified to see the renewed growth and quality of the ROTC program under Colonel Jeffrey's strong leadership. And I look forward to being able to continue to serve the Buc Battalion and the cadets of this program in any way that I can. Thank you for this special recognition, and continue to be Army strong.
Now, the one chair that remains on stage is empty. It's empty because our final member of the class of 2011 couldn't be here today with us. Captain James Eddie Reed was killed in action on 1 February 1968 in the Tet Offensive in Vietnam. And yet, in some ways, Eddie Reed clearly is here with us today. Just ask the Ranger Challenge Team. History tells us he was an outstanding leader, and he was respected and just loved by his soldiers. I've seen lots of accounts of that. And as you can see from your program, his bio in there, I'll tell you that Captain Eddie Reed only served for 3 short years. That's all he got after he graduated, until he was killed. But I would also tell you that more than 40 years later, more than 40 years after he was killed in action, halfway around the world, he continues to make an impact on our cadets. Our Ranger Challenge Team was named after him. His picture hangs, it's hanging in the Hall of Fame. It also hangs in cadet area where they see it when they come in every day, along with some of his medals and things. When we send 11 cadets, sitting over here, to Fort Knox next weekend to compete against 43 other teams from 5 states. And for sports fans out there, think, Big Ten, SEC, ASUN, a couple other conferences all rolled into one at this competition. 43 teams, 5 states, they're going to compete in a military skills and leadership event. Their battle cry is going to be Eddie Reed. Now, Captain Reed's widow, Brenda, she lives in California and wasn't able to make the trip, but we are fortunate to have a number of family members with us today. I'm going to ask his son, James, who's right up front here, if he would join me on stage to accept the plaque on his behalf and say a few words. But if I could, while he's coming up, if I could get the rest of the family to stand up, please. And again, we'll have lots of time afterward to get more pictures, because I know there are others who want this. We're good? Benny, we're good?
Thank you. Sure. Well, I'm going to try not to get emotional. I'm probably the proudest junior in the world right now. I came to school here in 1985 as part of the ROTC department for a short year, and the proudest thing I did was to wear that Eddie Reed Ranger badge on my shoulder. Anyway, my dad was proud to serve in the military at a time when it wasn't very popular. It wasn't popular with his family, but he knew he needed to serve his country. And we're, very proud of him. I want to thank Colonel Gross, who was the professor of military science at the time I came to school here, and he also named the Ranger Company after my father. I appreciate the program here. Every time I come back with my family, I'm welcomed with welcome arms and shown around the school and treated like a celebrity. And it wasn't me that was the celebrity, it was my father, and he did what he thought was right, and he taught me a lot. He taught me a lot. He taught my uncles a lot, the rest of my family here, and I just appreciate everything the school has done for me, for my family, and that's about it. Thank you.
As he's sitting down, ladies and gentlemen, how about one more round of applause for this whole group here? I was doing okay until I saw his daughter give him a big hug down there. I'll tell you, this is an impressive group. And the actual Hall of Fame, it's an actual Hall of Fame where all this resides, is over in Brooks. And again, I talked to you about the replicas of those flags. They're up on the wall right now. So everything you saw handed off is hanging there under the class of 2011. It'll be there as long as the building's there, and when the building moves, I guess we'll move those things with it, but for posterity's sake. And Dr. Bishop talked about some of the changes in Brooks that we've been able to, with the university's help, make over the last year or two. So I would really just encourage you, again, we're nearly done. I know we're getting along here. It's a little after 5, but encourage you to walk over there tonight after you get a chance to have a snack outside and mingle a little bit. But go see what that's all about. See the Hall of Fame. See those other things. It'll really give you a sense of why some of this is what it is, why these folks are so impressive, and some of the pride they have in the unit. It reflects on the walls there, I will tell you. And anytime you're back on campus, appreciate those words. It feels good to know you feel welcomed. That's the way it should be. And that's true for all our alumni. So anytime you're back on campus and other friends of the program, please stop by. Say hello to us. It means a lot to these folks. Sometimes they don't even know how much it means. I know they mean something to you all. But thanks for doing that. Now, I said we're almost complete, but we've got one last thing to do. I told you we've been working on trying to link, something that's been important to me in my tenure here, to try and link this incredible past with the present and the future here. And to help these guys, I was talking to one of them today in our hallway about, I don't want cadets to just see, you know, very much today you look at what you're doing, we have this Order of Merit list, it's all about your achievement, very individual thing. The Army's not about individuals, and they all know that. I hope they know it. We're part of a team, we're part of something bigger. And so some of the things we've done really just aimed at making each of these young men and women here who are going to be future leaders realize that it's about way more than them, and they are part of, when they look at that wall of commissionees and they're over here and here's 1952 and 53 and Ray Abner, they're part of that forever. And in 2031, they're going to be cadets that look back and say, Miranda Doss, you know, Denton, Birchfield, everybody out there, holy cow, I'm part of that. I think that's pretty significant. We've got a great legacy here in this program. It continues today. Dr. Bishop talked about a lot of the excellence. I'm not going to recap that for you. What I will say is that one additional thing she didn't hit on, because I didn't let her, because I didn't tell her. We recently learned that one of our cadets was recognized as one of only 8 in the nation this year. And again, there's over 5,600 seniors. One of only 8 in the nation to receive something called the Legion of Valor Bronze Cross. I'm not the right guy to talk about that award, but we've got somebody who is. And so here to not only talk about it, present that award as we close the ceremony and kind of link past excellence with present excellence, Colonel Retired Tom Reeves. And so, sir, if I can get you to come up on stage, and while he's making his way up here, a little bit about his background. Colonel Reeves earned his commission through ROTC at Middle Tennessee State University, served over 33 years in a variety of demanding active duty, Army Reserve, and Army National Guard assignments. Throughout the U.S., overseas, he's a Vietnam veteran. He earned the Combat Infantryman's Badge, Master Aviator Badge, and he's got a lot of awards and decorations, but among them, for those in the military, you understand the significance of this, the Distinguished Service Cross, Legion of Merit, and the Bronze Star. He's a member, interestingly, of MTSU's Army ROTC Hall of Fame. But we are grateful he could be here today to help us present this award. So, sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Lieutenant General McCorkle, other flag officers that are in attendance, Dr. Bishop, the staff and cadre of this fine ROTC department, guests and cadets. Scott had it correct. We've spent the last hour and 10 minutes talking about the past. And we've got some very interesting past, from World War II all the way to you cadets that are here now and you are our future. And of what I've learned again in my 33 years of active duty and years in retirement, there's a lot of humor in uniform. Hadn't we had fun here today? We really have. It's so interesting. Every chance you get. My dad served in World War II, my grandfather in World War I. It's one of the reasons that when I went to Middle Tennessee State in 1958, those days when we had to take the 2 years, I jumped at the chance to take the 4-year program. People ask me, Tom, what'd you major in college? I majored in ROTC, and that's the truth. That's what I tell them. It changed my life for the better. As a retired colonel with full medical, dental benefits, retirement every month, the brotherhood, the camaraderie, meeting men like General McCorkle several years ago, being able to identify with anybody in uniform in any service. It's a brotherhood that you won't ever be able to achieve outside that uniform, cadets. Cherish it, look forward to it, look after each other, take care of each other's six. I learned that in Vietnam. My part of this nice afternoon is to recognize the present and what I think is the future of an outstanding cadet in our presence. First, a little bit about the Legion of Valor. Probably not many of you here have heard about the Legion of Valor. It's the oldest chartered veterans organization in America, chartered in 1890. It's select. In order to become a member, you have to have been awarded one of the Medal of Honors, Distinguished Service Cross, Navy Cross, or Air Force Cross. And I can't tell you over the years since I've been a member of the interesting people that I've met from World War II and Korea and Vietnam, and now we're bringing in new young men who've been awarded one of those awards that fought in Afghanistan and Iraq. We have a rare award that our organization occasionally finds a candidate that qualifies for such an award, and that's the Legion of Valor Bronze Cross. And we're here today to recognize one of our nation's outstanding senior ROTC cadets, Miranda Doss. Would you join me on stage, please? On behalf of the Legion of Valor, Board of Directors and members, it's my honor to award you the Legion of Valor Bronze Cross for distinguished, diligent academic service, and to thank you for what you've done so far for our country, and to wish you our very best in your future as a military officer.
I'll give you that first.
This is really special.
Sir, two more things.
Use your coin and use your coin. You want to pin it on, or you want to just take it out? Okay, good. Here, put that. She had a choice whether I pinned it on or not. She wants it pinned on, and I like pinning on. This is one of the nice things you get to do in the military when you are a commander and you honor your troops. Okay, I'll put this right here. I was in the military. You were in Vietnam. It's a good branch. Let's get my fingers. There we go. That's it. There's only 80 of these in class. We didn't practice. Okay, that's good. All right. And now I'm going to ask Cadet Doss if she would say a few words.
It is an honor to receive this award. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. And to all your other cadets, work hard. You'll accomplish many goals. I promise. If I can do it, you can do it. Okay?
Hey, Cadet Doss, did you recognize this folks in the back?
No, I didn't. Oh. Thank y'all for everything. To my grandfather, who couldn't be here today, who showed me everything that I could be. He passed away 2 years ago of cancer, but he also was a veteran himself. He's the reason I joined ROTC, to drive and to be that number one always. So thank you so much. Thank you all.
Cadet Dust, I didn't mean to do that to you. I apologize. Her family's in the back, and she didn't know they were coming here. This was a total surprise. She didn't know they were coming, so, but I apologize for bringing that up, but I thank you for sharing that. I will tell you, holy cow. With that, our ceremony's complete, and I can't think of a better way to end this week, I'll tell you. Thank you so much for making the time. To our inductees, thank you for indulging us in that, but I thought it was so significant we want to share that today on your day. I'll tell you, thank you to everybody for making the time to be here late on a Friday. Hopefully you concur with me that no better place to be. I'm going to remember this for a long time. I'm sure you will. So I invite you out to the reception where we started. We've got some food out there. You can mingle, talk to cadets, talk to these gentlemen on stage and others. And then please do take us up if you've got the time. We'll have cadets and cadre going over right now to Brooks, and then a few minutes from now, Sergeant Walker will sound off in his artilleryman's voice, and he'll get another group. But go take a look at that too if you've got the time. Again, thank you for coming. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for your support of what I absolutely believe is a tremendous program with a tremendous past and future. Thanks for doing that. And again, travel safely as you go this weekend. Have a good evening. Thanks.